Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me Isabel here with a try chapter. We're back, we're here, we're doing this. I have a book event coming up literally in a week. If you're attending Villains and Vixens and Dallas, technically Grapevine, I know, but anyways, if you're attending, I will be there, say hi, but I need to read some books. I need to try some books from authors attending because I have my handful of like must meets, right? And I will be meeting those authors and I'm very excited for it, but I also should try some authors, and quite a few I already have books from that I've gotten on free Kindle days, so that made this a little bit easier. I do have 4 books I already picked out, and then I spun a wheel for the 6 other authors I would read. So I guess first let's talk about who I put on the spinner wheel while the spinner wheel spins, and then we'll talk about everyone or everything I'm reading. So first of all, I put Sierra Jane on the wheel. This is an author I've called out in Romancelandia and discussed before. She didn't have a great response to people wanting better content notes for her book, but these books keep following me to the point at which I'm like borderline curious because they seem to be a really weird mishmash of dark romance and other tropes like sports tropes. So I'm gonna try it. I'm really curious if I'm gonna think it's well written or not. I don't know. I think she did apologize if I recall correctly. Somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong and I totally forgot. But I do believe she apologized and has improved her content warnings. So like, we'll take that as a win, you know? I'm just curious enough because like I said, I keep getting tons of TikToks and things advertising these books to me. Not advertising, like people talking about these books. And I'm just kind of like, are they good though? Like I cannot parse if these books are good or not. So I was like, well, we'll give it a go. Then we have Jacqueline Hyde, who I believe writes these silly paranormals. L.J. Andrews, a popular romantasy author. Morgan Bridges, who has a dark romance stalker book that came out through Forever. Then we have Essie Wendell. She writes fantasy romances / monster romances. I have her new release that comes out in October, which is a monster, like gargoyle statue romance situation, and I have one of her orc romances that I got for free. Then we have Katrina Bell. I have a book from her that I got for free during a Stuff Your Kindle Day that is Beauty and the Beast inspired. We have Kate King, which is another fae romance situation. Callista Neth, which is also a fantasy fae romance author. And then I have Lisa Edmonds, who also writes paranormal romances on this list. So I spun the wheel. As you saw, it picked my 6 other authors, so let's discuss all the books I have pulled, and then we'll go read the first paragraph and decide the reading order for the first chapter. So first of all, I have A Lesson in Deceit by Ali Shanti. This is a dark romance, I believe. So A Lesson in Deceit by Ali Shanti. So this is a human who lives in a world where magic can exist freely, and she is not a magic user, and she begins to unravel secrets. So it sounds like we've got a little bit of a paranormal and also a mix-in of a mystery element. Then I have The Sun, the Storm, and the Shadows. This is another one I got for free forever ago. This is about 2 sisters who wake up 10 years ago with no memory of how they got there, what happened. They have to lie, cheat, and steal to make a living, and then they have to flee. But yeah, they end up taken captive by 2 handsome fays when they flee. It's inspired by Mayan culture, but is not like a retelling or anything like that. Then we have The Threads That Bind Us by Ray Douglas. This has been in my KU check-ins forever. This is a darker mafia romance with pegging. I need to read it. I'm very excited to try a chapter and maybe finish it quickly. We'll see. Then we have Shot in the Dark. This is by Mary Dublin and Anne Kindley. This is supposed to be a Ferngully retelling situation, inspired by a situation. So I'm intrigued. Then we have Wild Fae by Kate King. This is another one I got for free ages ago. And it has to do with Fae games. Will ruin you. It's a slow burn, steamy fantasy romance. Says it's ideal for the grown-up readers of Cruel Prince and ACOTAR, and I believe it is why choose. She does not have to choose one love interest. Then we have Morgan Bridges' Once You're Mine. This follows a girl, Callista, who's basically being stalked by this man who killed her dad, maybe? This is supposed to be bonkers. I've heard some people say they loved this book, and some people are like, this book was terrible. So I naturally am like, I must read this and see what I think. Then we have Beastly and Bookish by Katrina Bell. All this main character Noelle wants to do is save the library. She has a plan during the New Year's Eve fundraiser on how to do it. And the last thing she needs is a distracting romance with a sexy binge reading demon she hasn't seen in over a decade. I think that one sounds pretty cute. For C.R. Jane, what one are we going to read? We're going to start with the original book that caused the controversy. I think we'll start with the Pucking Wrong Number. So this is where a girl texts him she texts the wrong number and he ends up stalking her, and he's a professional hockey player. I do believe they would be too busy to accomplish a lot of this, but you know, we'll see what I think. I also wonder if it's going to confirm a theory I have about some popular dark romances right now. That again, I'm not going to tell you here because it feels mean. It's a little out of pocket, my theory, but I will let you know if I think it confirms my theory or not when I read it. And then for Callista Neth, I'm going to read Soul Obsession. I like this cover the most. I think this one will be really interesting. Our hero is a death spirit, so like, I'm in. She's abducted and forcibly forced to marry a soul drinker, which is what Dimitri is, our hero, and her name is Astrid. So I'm intrigued. We'll read Hafling from S.E. Wendell because that is technically book 1, and I feel like I might as well start at the beginning and all that jazz, and see what I think. So yeah, if I like it, that'd be great because I already own book 2. So we'll see what happens. This one is a half-orc. Wow, this one is a half-orc, half-human that belongs nowhere. He spent his life trying to prove himself. He's the son of a deposed chief and human captive. He has to try twice as hard to prove himself. And Sorsha has spent her life helping raise her many siblings and is seeking her own adventures. For fans of Grace Draven and Ruby Dixon, it's a fantasy road trip. So we'll see what I think. So those are the 10 books I'm going to try. Let's go read the first paragraphs, and I'll talk to you about what order we're going to read them in. Okay, the first paragraph of The Sun and the Storm and the Shadows is interesting. I kind of read 2 sentences just because of how it was formatted on my iPad. But basically, things aren't going as planned, and nobody knows who she was, which who they were, and I'm assuming, obviously, they don't even know who they are from the description of the book. So, interesting, middle of the pack. I'm not, like, fully pulled in, but I'm intrigued. Okay, we have our first contender for first place with Threads That Bind Us, because we not only have a prologue, so 2 chapters will be read here, obviously, but it opened 6 months ago with Charlie, and he is talking about blood coating her. So our heroine is a badass, and that he can't see her eyes because she's a vision. And okay, I am but a sucker for that, so that's probably going to the top of the list, and we're gonna keep going. Okay, so that was the art that opened for Shot in the Dark. I'm very intrigued. Okay, just read the first paragraph. Obviously, it doesn't take long to do that. But it talks about ghosts and how they have selective memory and how she's trying not to prompt the memory to the ghost. So I think that's fascinating. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Okay, Wild Fae is another one with a prologue, and we have art. So we have, I'm reading on my iPad right now because I left my Kindle downstairs, but oh my god. We have like character art and a very, very short first paragraph, which is a first sentence, which is the most honest people in the world were liars. That doesn't feel wrong. Anyways, intriguing. Happily surprised by the art. Okay, I just finished the first paragraph, which was literally a line in Once You're Mine. Basically, he's just like, I killed him. So I'm also intrigued. Listen, you hook me in with blood and violence and like ghosts apparently right now. So very intrigued by that. And I have a piece here who is now hitting my hand. I want to get lipstick on you, baby. Anyways, on to the next one. We're almost done. We got 3 more left. There we go. So Beastly and Bookish, literally, again, another one where it's like 1 sentence for the first paragraph, which is just a deal's a deal. Indifference here. Anyways, let's keep going. We got 2 more left. Okay, so Pucking Wrong Number. It's a prologue. And our heroine is cleaning up her mom's vomit, who is high as a kite. So that's going to be fun. I think from one of the things I got, like all of the heroines of this have like endured some kind of trauma for these dark romances, which is like other thoughts on that. But yeah, the first paragraph read fine, but not like drag me in the story immediately fine, like it was just like, this is okay. So let's keep going and change this battery. Okay, so Soul Obsession, stunning art inside. If you do get it from KU, I recommend looking on your phone or that so you can see the art. Stunning. But I just read the first paragraph, definitely a longer paragraph. I do no prologue, so that's nice. I am kind of intrigued. It opens with her like on her knees praying, basically, it seems like. So I'm intrigued, curious to see where that leads. That is a very interesting opening that I was not fully expecting, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm intrigued. This order is going to be hard to come up with, but we're going to do it. Let's read Hafling, our last one. Okay, so Hafling was another prologue. I feel like half of these had prologues. And it was interesting. So it basically talked about him as an orc child and like being able to be very quiet on his feet. So like that's interesting. Not always a thought people are going to have, obviously. But yeah, so there's that. I am going to go ahead and like think through my order real quick, and then I'll come tell you the order. And honestly, I'm going to wash my face and we're going to read some of these tonight on the couch. And I'll report back very soon. Okay, real quick, y'all. I wanted to let you know that the deadline to book for the Trova Trip to Costa Rica with me and Bethany over at Beautifully Bookish Bethany is approaching. The deadline is October 7th, and we have a special sale going on this weekend for anyone who's interested. It's $100 off the trip with the code 2026 booked, but it's only valid for the first 6 people and through September 5th. So if you're thinking about going and you needed a little extra discount, here it is for you. Go ahead and check that link out down below if you're interested. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And let's get back to my try chapter. Okay, so I just accidentally read through chapter 2 of Threads That Bind Us. I am intrigued. Big fat content note here though. We are dealing with childhood cancer. Her sister, who she takes care of, has cancer. So she's had to go reach out to her dad, who like, not great. Not great. That's what we'll leave it at. Not great. He's not great. Not a great offer was made. But I accidentally read through chapter 2. I didn't mean to. And I looked down and I hit chapter 3 and I was like, wait, when did I get here? But yeah, that was really intriguing. And I definitely would like to read more in that book sooner than later. Okay, I put my nails on. They don't look too close. We had a time, safe to say. But they are smiley faces. I don't know. I was just like, we'll do these. Anyways, I just finished Shot in the Dark. And I liked it. I'm intrigued. It is very much Ferngully vibes, I guess we'll call it. I have not watched that movie in ages. I feel like I need to rewatch that movie before I read this book, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, did get that vibe from it. They are like fairy borrowers, you know, like little fairies though. So like that's interesting. I don't feel like we get a lot of that, but I'm intrigued. It's probably gonna be a maybe for me, but we'll see at the end when I put them all in their places. Just finished Once You're Mine, which I expected to be cringier than it was, because I feel like I saw a lot of people saying it was like really cringy, bad writing, and it was fine. Like it was fine. I'm intrigued. I do have an arc of it, and I have an arc of book 2 that are obviously very overdue, but I definitely think would likely continue it, or at least give it more than a chapter. But yeah, was not what I expected at all. Like I really didn't expect to kind of be intrigued as much as I was from the first chapter. So we'll see. We'll circle back around soon. Okay, we've moved to the bed, which means bangs are out of the face because I cannot deal with them in my face when I sleep. I finished the first chapter of Soul's Obsession. Ignore the giant zit. I swear to God, it's driving me nuts. But anyways, I finished the first chapter of Soul's Obsession. I'm intrigued. Our heroine is a badass. She like just tortured a man by cutting his balls out of his body, basically. Very gory open. I am very intrigued. Basically her dad's forcing her into marriage with this guy that she doesn't want to marry. And she's supposed to run away from him in some capacity and be chased by him. So that'll be interesting. But overall, I'm just super duper intrigued right now from this. More than I expected. Because like it takes a lot. y'all, if you watch my channel regularly, I feel like y'all know this. It takes a lot for me to pick up a romantasy these days. And I'm intrigued by this one. Like, I'm deeply intrigued. So I'm definitely going to keep this on my TBR. I just read the first chapter of The Sun, the Storm, and the Shadows. I think this is going on my maybes. I'm not really sure if I'm that intrigued by it. Our first chapter is them basically on the run from a, like the guy that runs the town they live in. And they've done some thieving and stuff. So they're on the run and they went through this forest that they're not supposed to go in and they're on the other side. I'm pretty indifferent right now. This is going to be a maybe. I think I'm going to go read some reviews most likely before we like wrap this up tomorrow and I like decide what I'm gonna read or not read, because I'm just not really sure. And this was one I got for free, and like I didn't dislike the writing. Like the writing was fine. I just plot wise right now I'm not super intrigued by it, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I just read Wild Fae, which is technically called like Lords of the Hunt, I think, but the Wild Fae text is bigger. I don't know. This is another one I think we're going to have to look at the reviews because I'm partially intrigued. I'm also indifferent because we really don't get a lot in that first chapter. Our heroine has a twin or a sister that looks a lot like her. Her mom gave her rules. One of them is to always like lie to the Fae. And like it's kind of in between the lines, lying to the Fae. And there's like a hunt happening. So I feel like I need to read some reviews and see what other people that I like tend to align with thought of it, and then go there from there, because I'm truly not sure. I don't dislike the writing. I'm like kind of intrigued. It feels very vague fantasy world, if that makes sense. Vague fae fantasy world situation. So like that's also interesting, and I am a little curious. That's for sure so far, but it definitely didn't like make me want to keep reading further into the book. So, yeah, I think that's another one that's going to end up on the maybe pile. Read the prologue in A Lesson in Deceit while I ate my lunch, and intrigued for sure. I don't love it because like it opens with them still in high school, like about to graduate high school. So that's like not my fave, but we've already skipped ahead a year in chapter 1, I noticed. So that's a relief. I'm going to finish chapter 1 and I'll report back my thoughts. I'm hoping I like it. Right now I'm interested. Like I like the concept of a world with like magic users, and not everyone's a magic user, but everybody knows about it. Like I feel like that's interesting. So we'll see. Okay, I just finished chapter 1 in A Lesson in Deceit. 2 things stood out to me. I'm intrigued by it, but I'm annoyed because the author does the pansexual definition that drives me nuts, because it kind of eliminates the actual definition of bisexual. This is a huge issue I have in general. I get very frustrated by this statement. I understand why we have pansexual, but the fact that people have continuously degraded the definition of bisexual down to gender when it is not. It is your gender and then others, not male, female, others. Anyways, it was the whole pansexual, like I'm just attracted to you for you thing. And that definition bugs me, and it always and forever will. Plain and simple. A lot of people use it to feel high and mighty, in my opinion, and then to continue the bi erasure that we constantly see at times. Not that pansexual erasure doesn't happen too, because it does, but I feel like bi erasure is like pushed in with that one a little bit for me. But her dad dies at the end of chapter 1. So this is a no. I like the writing. I'm intrigued. I maybe would read this at another time, but I am not reading a book where her dad dies at the end of chapter 1 and we are solving the mystery of who murdered him. That's not for me right now. And that's fair, I think. I don't think that's that's nothing against the author or the book, but this is an immediately not right now item. So yeah, that's already been returned to KU. I'm very intrigued though overall by the plot here. The writing's okay, I would say, but I would just be curious to see the execution overall of this entire story at a later date. When I got to that reveal, I was like, oh, okay, well, Not for me. I did probably skip the content warnings if there were content warnings, to be honest with you. I do that a lot. So that's my own problem and my own fault. So yeah, that's a no. All right, on to our next one. Okay, so I just finished Hafling. I liked chapter 1. I'm intrigued. The prologue was interesting. We start with our orc as a child, and basically he ends up watching his mom run away, and then he kind of manages to kind of work his way in as he's half orc, half human. He's obviously viewed as lesser than and all that stuff. Anyways, he's like kind of worked his way into some favor, not a lot, and he's left to guard this tent, and then he finds the human woman they have there, and he's like, uh-oh. Obviously, because of his mom. So that's interesting. I'm intrigued. I think this is going on my TBR because I do own book 2. So I feel like I was reading the description. She said you could read book 2, Ironling, as a standalone, but it's best appreciated if you read book 1 first. We're going to read book 1 first. But yeah, I'm at least intrigued by it. So that's a win. I want these to be more books I don't want to read, but that keeps not happening. So we'll see. Let's continue on to our second to last book. Okay, I just finished chapter 1 of Beastly and Bookish. This is a great free pick. It's really cute. So our demon is back in town where he lived for a while as a kid in Idaho. And he is opening a coffee shop, and it's next to the library where it turns out his childhood best friend and crush works. She doesn't remember him though when they run into each other at this demon lady's house. So anyways, so I think that's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. I'm very intrigued. Our heroine is fundraising for her library, so like that sounds cute. It is set around New Year's time, so I would probably be in the mood to read it kind of soon, or at least try more of it. So I think it's going to go on my TBR still. I think it's a TBR book, but like I said, we'll discuss at the end of the video when I've like fully collected my thoughts. But on to the last book. Okay, I just finished chapter 1 of The Pucking Wrong Number. That is a traumatic open. Our girl is in foster care. Well, first of all, the prologue, like her mom dies. She ends up in foster care when she's like 10. And she's about to turn 18, and the dad in that family is basically planning to take her virginity. So she runs away to Dallas. So that's just wild, first of all. Like, that is a wild open. Which has left me intrigued because it was not... Listen... I'll share the theory here, a little bit of it. Like, I'm not going to go in depth on it. I have a theory that some of the popular dark romances are only popular for their shock factor and not for any quality elements, which I don't think is a surprise. I like dark romance. It's not an insult to dark romance. I'm just saying, I feel like some of the series that have ended up really, really popular are truly only popular because they have a shock value to them, not because they're, like, actually investigating or, like, addressing a dark topic always. That's my hot take. But the Pucking Wrong Number was a surprise. Truly a surprise. I actually kind of want to read more of it. I'm kind of intrigued to see where it goes. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to go gather all my thoughts and opinions, and we're going to reconvene in front of the bookshelves to wrap this up and finalize where everything's going. I've read all 10 books. Chapter 1 of all 10 books. And I feel like we have a standing of what I want to read. And I feel pretty good about this because we have 6 I'm keeping on my TBR, 3 that are maybes, and 1 no. So, the 6 I'm keeping on my TBR are Threads That Bind Us, Soul Obsession, Hafling, Shot in the Dark, Once You're Mine. I have the arc of this, so basically I need to read a little bit more and decide. And if I decide I don't like it, I'll DNF it and review it. And then I have Beastly and Bookish. I'm a sucker. We know this for Beauty and the Beast stuff, so I'm going to read it. I'm also intrigued enough that I would like to continue it. 3 maybes. We have The Sun, The Storm, and The Shadows. I need to read more reviews on this one to determine if I want to read it and or read a little bit more. So it's going on the maybe list. which the maybe list is up to 10 books now, so that's probably going to be a video at some point. Wild Fae, Lords of the Hunt. I'm intrigued, but I didn't get enough from the first chapter to know if I want to read it. And then the Pucking Wrong Numbers on my maybe list, because I honestly, one, I need to investigate more about C.R. Jane again. Like, did she apologize? Did I imagine that? Did we take accountability? I feel like she might have. So I need to investigate that more, but I'm also like kind of curious how that's going to play out. It does feel very traumatic overall as far as content in that book, but who knows. And then our Nope, which is a no for now, we'll call it, is a lesson in deceit, because that has the death of a father on page, and that's just not something I can read right now. With everything going on with Big Papa, that's just out of the question currently. So this is our current standings from this video alone, everything that's on the TBR, my 3 maybes, and my Nope. And then this will be, this is the list of the current maybes. So question for y'all, should I do a vlog where I like try and read the maybes at some point? I have 2 or 3 more Tria chapters coming this year. So do I wait and like is a January vlog me reading all of the maybes from my Tria chapters in the last year that I didn't read between now and then? Thoughts, opinions? I don't know. I could do it sooner. You know, let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. Like, what do y'all want to see for that? Do you think it would be beneficial for me, obviously, to clear these 10 books off of my TBR? Because some of these are books I own. Some of these are books I've gotten for free, and books I've gotten on Libra FM even. So thoughts and opinions, let me know down below. I would love to know if you have any guesses for the next few Tria chapter themes down there, or any of these that you want to suggest I remove from my TBR or prioritize a little bit more in my reading. You can do that down below. If you don't want to do any of that, you can leave me a little demon emoji. The happy or the sad, sad angry one, your pick. Because I'm going to Villains and Vixens, and I'm really excited for the event. I'm really excited to talk to a bunch of authors and talk to readers and just have a fun little getaway weekend. So yeah, you can do that down below. I will have links to all these books for you down there, links to my friend anywhere on the internet that I am, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days in my next video. Yeah, okay, bye y'all.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we wait.